All right, hammock campers, gear hounds. I'm not gonna lie, this Haven system is basically my now go-to. Actually, it has been for a while. I've been testing this for a little while now. I've taken it on a number of trips, and it is now definitely my go-to when I'm sleeping on my own. I'm not taking the family and doing family camping or group camping. I've definitely made the Haven system my go-to setup, and we're going to talk through what it is and who it's for and maybe who it's not for, and hopefully give you all the information you need to decide if this is right for you or not. First of all, probably the biggest thing is people are concerned about the weight. Now, for a single person sleep system, this is the Haven XL. Now, they came out with the original Haven, which is slightly smaller than this, but ironically, everything they've made since then, the Safari, and now the new backpacking Spectre, are all the XL dimensions, which is, the pad is 30 inches by 80 inches. I think the original Haven was 24 or 26 by 76 or something like that. So I'm just under 6 feet. So I'm very glad to have the XL. I would say, though, anyone smaller than me could get away with the original Haven. Differences between those, the Haven, the original, and the XL are the similar materials, so, weight of materials. Then they have the Safari version, which is a canvas, much more heavier weight, not for backpacking. And then there's the new Spectre, which is an all mesh body, super lightweight, and designed for that backpacking. This kit comes in, without my little air pump, which I'll get into later. Lightest weight for the XL is like in the 7 pounds, a little over 7 pounds. Lightest weight for the Spectre backpacking is 4.5-ish, under 4.5 pounds. So major difference there. But nevertheless, even at this weight, I still take this backpacking. Now, granted, I'm not doing huge mega mile stuff. If that's what you're doing, definitely look at that Spectre, but that just wasn't an option. And I actually haven't tested the Spectre yet, but if it's the same quality, which I know Derek and the Haven team are really determined to make sure they put out a really quality product, they would not have released it if they didn't think it could handle the rigors of use. So with that, we're going to go over what the Haven is. Again, if it's for you, if it's not for you, I can sleep almost anywhere. I'm a pretty good sleeper. Not gonna lie. Mostly a back sleeper, occasionally on my side, almost never on my stomach. We'll talk more about sleeping configurations once we have this set up. So let's get into that. We'll start setting up and I'll get into some of the nitty gritty as we work through that. So here we go. So the kit comes with straps. And now I've already got some other straps on my tree here, so I'm not going to redo that. It's just going to kind of show that it doesn't really matter. It comes bundled, like this. You can do this, great for car camping. I take this on sea kayaking trips, and sometimes I can leave it bundled like this. A lot of the times, though, I don't really bother with that. I've got them separated out so you can pack the two parts separately, the pad and the tent itself. It used to be symmetrical, so it didn't really matter which side was the head and which side was the foot. I think with the Safari, they came up with this they called the lounge strap, and they've since integrated that lounge strap into other models, including the XL, which makes it not symmetrical. So you do have a head side and a foot side if you want to use that lounge strap, and I'll show you more of that later. And what I've done to kind of help myself know which way the head is in, I stuff my sleeping bags foot first so that, the air can get out and it doesn't billow up on you. If you stuff it in head first, you trap that air in the foot of the sleeping bag, and then you're fighting that big billowing. And because of that reason, I stuff my sleeping bags foot first. So what I've done with this system is matched that. So I stuff it in foot first. So I know that at the top is the head, including my pillow. talk about that later. There's the straps that Haven sends along with the whoopee strings, which or whoopee slings, which help you be able to tolerate much different width of tree circumstances. The stakeout kit with the guy lines, and I'll explain more about that later. And then I've got right on top here is the carabiner for, again, the head side of the hammock and the Haven. For that reason, I want to put that on this side. And this is dependent upon, like, where's the view and which way do you want to look, and more on that circumstance. You may also want to think about the head side, depending on how far you're stringing it between trees. And experienced hammockers will have been through a lot of this, the experimenting and figuring out what works best for them as far as that's concerned. Just to raise the head a little bit and ensure that you don't have your head lower than your feet. But now I've got it all the way out here. I've got the foot side of the hammock, and just whack it onto one of these daisy loops here. Now putting it together, and the spreader bars go into these little tabbies here. There's a few versions of spreader bars, again, for weight consideration. I think these are the aluminum ones. I think they have a carbon fiber version now. Okay, once the hammock is set up like that, then you're going to get the sleeping pad out. Now, one of the big questions that comes up is, can I save weight by using a different sleeping pad? The answer is no. The pad is a key part of the structure of the whole system, and I definitely take the weight penalty of taking the air pump. But if you want to save on that, the bag here does act as a filler bag, so you could just use that instead if you're really trying to save weight. It's a nice square pad. Okay, so I find the pump doesn't quite get to where the firmness I want. So I like to give it a few last puffs of breath to get it where I want. Now remember, if you set it up mid-afternoon and then the air cools off, it's gonna feel like it deflates. It's gonna feel a little softer because the air is cooler. So you may have to, top it off again. Now the beauty of, the dual use of the pump is if you choose to get the Ridgeline lighting system, you can use that same battery for your lighting system. Plug that in. You're not going to really see it in the daylight here, but I find that's a worthwhile dual use of it. Now this is the true level pad. It's an upgrade from their original pad, and the basic difference is there's a bit more volume along the spine to help manage, and I don't want to say tacoing and like to make you feel like it completely burritos you and tacos you in like that. But again, if the pad loses some firmness because it's cooled off and it's condensated out, then it can feel like that. So what this does, this true level adjustment does, is helps compensate that. So even if the pad loses some of its pressure because of temperature change, overnight is the most common time for that to happen, you minimize that tacoing feel. Now there are these little pockets in here for the corners, or for this to nest into. And then here's what I was talking about as far as that lounge strap goes. It's a strap that goes all the way to the underside, has a pull buckle here, And when you cinch that up, you can see that raises up that head side a bit more. Could also help if you've set your anchors and your straps and you've put the head side a little low. You could probably get away with that, but it's good for, again, lounging in, as the name implies, and then to get back to it. You lower that out. All right, let's get in it. Show you the true lay flat nature of it. Oh yeah. You know, if you're a hammock sleeper, the sway won't bother you. I guess if swaying bothers you, you're probably not even watching this video. You're probably not even considering a hammock sleeping system of any sort. So there's that. The pockets have remained symmetrical, so there's big storage pocket on either end above. There's a wider pocket on either side there, and then there's a narrower, basically phone-sized pocket that fits in there. Let's pull the lounge strap and lay in there and see how that works. Works pretty well. Could probably still even sleep like this, raising the head up. Could get away without a pillow, I guess, for that. And then the rain fly. Now I usually look for a place to camp that allows me to take one of the guy lines and then tie this up into a tree, into a branch, so it's a little higher up. You can just bring it down and stake it out, just to provide good rain coverage, even in, breezy situations. And then if the weather gets really windy, it's got these toggles down here, and you can just toggle the rain fly into the grommet there and put yourself in there for super bomber weather protection. Even in big wind, while you get a little bit of sway, it completely stops the wind from bothering you inside the shelter. So I have found that to be amazing in some heavy wind and rain situations. And I've just battened down the hatches here and found myself to be very comfortable. And then here's the stakeout kit that comes with it. So there's 4 guy lines, stakes, and then I keep the extra set of whoopee slings in here. And the whoopee slings are great because they allow you to manage trees that are much further apart. Now, the other beauty of this is if you are in a place where there are no trees, you can still set this up on the ground. You will need some sticks or trekking poles or something. Remember, all they're doing when they're here is holding up this ridgeline. Your weight is on the ground, and you've got this nice thick pad, so you're not, putting any weight on you're not putting any body weight on the trekking poles or anything, so there's not any structural concern there. You do need to stake that out, though, to keep those trekking poles vertical. So if you're in a situation where you have no trees and the ground won't take stakes, then you're kind of at a miss there. But then at that point, maybe you're just able to sleep out in the open and enjoy life that way. Putting it away, I mean, it's just the exact opposite of what we just did. Deflate everything, roll it up, and like I said, I've stuffed things in from foot side first into the stuff sack, so I know which end is which when I'm setting it up. And that's pretty much it. So that's the Haven XL. Like I said, there's a few versions, including the new Spectre, which is the backpacking version, coming in with pad at 4 pounds. So, it probably still doesn't compete with like truly ultralight camping shelter situations, but for the comfort, and of course, hammockers know this already, but you don't have to have level ground underneath you. I've been in some backpacking situations in the White Mountains in New Hampshire where it's only steep, but you find the trees that work, get it up, and even if the ground is sloping away, you can set up a nice level sleep area and not be worried about all that sloping away. Now, one thing that I do is I often carry a little mini Z fold pad or a sit pad with me. I'll use that to have on the ground here as I'm getting in and out of the hammock if I'm trying to keep my feet dry or manage, that kind of situation. I guess for rain, for gear storage, few options. In my sea kayaking trips, I've got dry bags. And so I can very easily hang those dry bags here and know that even in the rain, those will keep my gear dry. If the rain isn't totally sideways, you've got a lot of storage right underneath you. So you can place your backpack there, even your boots. Although the nice thing about these big pockets that are here and the spreader bars is I've sometimes just set my boots right inside of the spreader bars there to keep those totally inside, and I know that no critters are going to be crawling in there and surprising me when I put my boots on in the morning. So that's a great way. When you have the fly out, obviously this expands your surface area that is being protected by rain. So again, being able to place items underneath the Haven is an option for a way to store things while you're sleeping and keeping things dry. Again, if it's not on a slope where things are going to roll away. A lot of balances and pros and cons to negotiate there. But again, this has become my go-to sleep system when I am on my own and I'm not having to share a tent or a shelter with somebody else, not taking it family camping. I am about to go on a week-long scout camp, summer camp, and I'm going to take this with me as my primary shelter. Probably also bring another tarp just to be able to throw some coverage and have a chair and be able to sit underneath, because you don't always want to be in there if it's pouring down rain or you can't get out. But that's it. So questions, comments, concerns, put those down below. I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are on this. Like I said, there's all kinds of configurations and ways for this to work. And there's, for a lot of people, sleeping on your stomach is a must, or maybe the way it settles is not going to work for you. That's totally fine. It's not for everybody, and I'm not trying to convince everybody of getting one of these, but it has worked for me. And I think even at the XL version, the weight is worth it for short haul stints, even backpacking. But I am keen to check that Spectre tent out, but I haven't tried it yet. But like I said, I'm pretty sure that the team at Haven is only releasing that because it's ready to be released and it's going to handle everything just fine. So again, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to put it away.